Al Jazeera podcasts.
Today, the rise of buy now, pay later. Is it a smarter way to shop or a shortcut to trouble?
We cannot start going into debt over a burrito.
As shoppers turn to the Pay in 4 button for everything from furniture to groceries, why some are warning the system isn't as risk-free as it seems. I'm Malika Bilal, and this is The Take. Hey everyone, I know you're multitasking, but while you're watching, remember to leave us a comment telling us what you think about this episode. Have you used buy now, pay later? Any regrets? Let us know. And if you're listening on your podcast app, leave us a review telling us where you're listening from and give us a 5-star rating while you're there. Thanks.
My name is Emily Stewart. I am a senior correspondent at Business Insider.
Emily, it is good to have you. Welcome to The Take. Now, it is that time of year when shoppers start filling their carts full of the season sales. And this year, more than ever, when people are checking out, they are going to be clicking that little pink or green or blue button that says Pay in 4, otherwise known as the buy now, pay later option. That's become pretty pervasive around the world in the last few years. But for those who have not heard of it, perhaps not seen that little button, what is buy now, pay later, and how does it work?
So buy now, pay later is what it sounds like. You buy now, you pay later. I'm maybe dating myself here, but if you remember, like back in the day of layaway, right, where you would go to JCPenney, you want that purse, your mom wants that purse, she puts it on layaway, pays it off bit by bit till she can have it. Well, in this case, you get the thing at the beginning, but you pay installment loans. So let's say you want a $100 dress on whatever e-commerce site. Instead of paying $100 today, you pay it, you split it into 4 payments of $25. That $25 comes out over the next basically 6 weeks. And if all goes well, there's no interest on it, win-win for everyone. That's the idea. And, I think initially these were kind of meant for like bigger purchases. The first time I came across it was like looking for a Peloton bike.
You and some of our producers here on the show.
Yes, I believe I heard that. And I didn't use it for it, but I think the idea was like kind of alternative to a credit card. What we are really seeing now is like every time you shop online, as you said, you get prompted to pay in 4 if you would like to. It's really everywhere at this point.
Okay, so the difference between layaway, that was really helpful for me to understand. Yeah. But the difference being that it's instant gratification because you get the product now rather than waiting until you can pay it off. Have you used buy now, pay later? I mean, you mentioned eyeing the Peloton, but have you ever actually clicked it?
No. I mean, I honestly was buying some silly stuff online last week and I saw it and I was like, maybe I should do it just for fun. But my motto tends to be if I don't have the $100 to buy the thing today, I shouldn't have it, probably.
Yeah. Wow, Emily, I got to say, increasingly, you might be in the minority. You and me both, though. I've been eyeing it, but I have not actually bit the bullet there. But in the U.S., a survey by PayPal says 50% of holiday shoppers that they surveyed are planning to use it this holiday season. So let's name drop some of these companies. We've got Klarna, we've got Afterpay, Affirm, and PayPal, as mentioned. And it used to be just a few years ago that people were using this option for, as you mentioned, some of those really big purchases. Yes. But it's not just the big stuff. What else are people using this option for?
I mean, the thing is, you can use it for everything. Earlier this year in the U.S., there was kind of a big blow up because DoorDash, the delivery company, was going to do a partnership with Klarna, a buy now, pay later company. And you see a lot of jokes online of people saying, why are people splitting up their burrito into 4 payments?
Oh, sweet. You can use Klarna on DoorDash now. Burritos on me, extra guac, and queso. What are you doing? Using Klarna for takeout. Buy now, pay later, baby!
DoorDash and Klarna would say, okay, it's for purchases over $35 it was. So it's not you bought a $5 Coca-Cola and suddenly it's, $150 a week or something. But, we also know that people are using it, let's say, to buy essentials, to buy groceries.
Groceries are expensive, but I got all of this today for $55.
And that is, I think, where sometimes, people, I think, get nervous, like economists get nervous, consumer protection people get nervous because like if the other option is I don't buy groceries, what exactly are we doing here?
It comes up to the week before I get paid and I'm like, oh, I need some food. And I'm looking at the bank and I'm thinking I haven't got enough.
And what would you have done before then if that had have happened?
Food bank. Either food bank or just try to make do with what we've got and like struggle.
There's data from LendingTree from last year that says 25% of users in the US are using buy now, pay later for groceries. What does that say about us on a deeper level?
I mean, this is really something I think about kind of a lot with credit products. It is probably not a good thing that people are buying groceries on buy now, pay later. That would probably be a pretty decent sign that people are feeling financially stretched, right? This is where I think sometimes like these companies will say, you know, it's better than putting it on a credit card. Sometimes like if your credit card interest rate is 20% and you can't pay that off until, you don't pay that off until a year from now, like those groceries got pretty expensive. It's also like not everybody can have a credit card, right? It's not necessarily like a ding on like buy now, pay later companies, but I think it does say something about like where the consumer economy is right now. Because again, like if somebody can't pay for their grocery bill, like that's not great.
Yeah, right. It's not necessarily an impulse buy.
No.
That could be indicative of something more systemic. So
Yes.
I've given a few stats that represent the US. And if any of our viewers and listeners are thinking, oh, Americans, not so fast. Buy now, pay later has been pretty widely adopted around the world. The payments firm WorldPay says buy now, pay later accounted for $342 billion in spending globally last year, and that's up from just over $2 billion a decade ago. And thousands of retailers have it as an option now.
Mhm.
So Cyber Monday is upon us. It's set to be its biggest sales day yet. Why do you think consumers, and clearly these companies who allow it as an option, have fallen in love with this so quickly?
I mean, from the company standpoint, it's pretty straightforward. So basically the way that buy now, pay later companies work and how they make money is that the merchant gives them a cut of the sale. So like you think about when you swipe your credit card, there's a credit card fee that the merchant will pay. And so basically like Klarna, Afterpay, whoever, they take a cut of the sale. And their like quote unquote swipe fee is a little bit higher than credit cards. So like the reason that companies do this is because people spend more money when they're using buy now, pay later. We know that they check out at higher rates and also carts are bigger because like this is just like a consumer psychology thing. We tend to be kind of extra optimistic about our future selves, even if our future selves has the exact same job 6 weeks from now, like it feels a little bit different. And just like even looking at like the sticker price, right? Like $200 might feel like a lot of money, like upfront, but like, if it's just $50 today, that feels a little bit better. That's kind of the way that we work. And so that's why like companies like it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. And in terms of consumers, like, we know that people are stretched. We know that especially, there's been a lot of inflation over the past 5 years, right? Things are very expensive. I mean, Americans like buying stuff.
Yeah.
People all over the world like buying stuff. And this makes this like easier to do. And it really is, it's so easy to do. They don't do a hard credit check, right? They do like a soft credit check. So that means like the company kind of takes a look at your finances, but it's not as involved as if you were like getting a mortgage or something.
So you mentioned these companies make money by collecting fees from the merchants. And you explain some of the psychology behind why the merchants would go for that. But it's because we spend more.
Yeah.
Are there other ways that these companies are making money? What about fees? Because I'm imagining not everyone is able to pay in full.
Yeah. And so that's where they make money off of like the late fee, right? If you miss a payment, they'll charge you like $8, $10. We know that people, do default on payments a fair amount. Delinquency rates for buy now, pay later are not as high as credit cards, but still like some people make mistakes.
A recent survey shows 41% of buy now, pay later users say they paid late at least once in the past year. That's up from 34% the year before.
And these companies are kind of like going into different areas. Klarna is launching a phone network, like a mobile phone network. I don't know, like, does anybody want like a Klarna phone? Like maybe But yeah, I mean, they're companies. They're looking for ways to make money.
So, Emily, let's talk about who might want a Klarna phone or who is being targeted here by Klarna, Afterpay, these companies in general, because the companies are trying to appeal to what seems to be a young, budget-conscious consumer, people who are managing tight budgets, looking for flexibility, who want to avoid the high interest rates of traditional credit cards. But what do we actually know about who is turning to buy now, pay later?
So we know it tends to be people who are younger. It tends to be women more. It tends to be people of color more. And a lot of the time it's maybe people who have a lower income and or lower credit. A lot of especially younger people do not have like a credit history. So it's actually really hard for them to get a credit card, right? Or even like immigrants, same thing. And sometimes people just don't have good credit cards. Maybe they're just not that great with money. Maybe they made one big mistake one time. And so those are kind of the people that buy now, pay later is going after. Now they would say like, we'll have anybody, of course. But I think they want the people who maybe would otherwise put this on a credit card. And also, like some young people are skeptical of credit cards, right? Like I think about when I'm an elder millennial, but like when I started college, the campus was like teeming with credit card companies and banks on my first day to try and get me to sign up. And like, they should not do that. Like at 18, I didn't really know what I was doing with a credit card. There is some argument to be made with buy now, pay later. You can't get yourself into as much trouble. I don't know how true that is. Like I was looking at a statistic that I think Affirm's like average debt for consumer was like $700, which feels like kind of a lot of money to be putting on kind of this like layaway plan. Like that is still like about $200 that's coming out of your bank account every 2 weeks. Like that's real money.
We'll have more with Emily after the break. Well, Emily, the companies themselves make this sort of sound like a financial empowerment tool. Like, we are here to give you flexibility, yes, freedom, control over your money, 4 payments, no interest, no big deal, right? Yeah. And that is going to be appealing to a lot of people. It's appealing to me who has not clicked it yet, but I am, I am tempted. What are the risks here? What should we know and maybe are not aware of what goes into buy now, pay later that could be risky for us?
The real risk is that these can be really easy to take out and really difficult to take track of. There's something called like debt stacking or loan stacking, right? Where you can take out 8, 10 of these in a month and not even remember that you did it.
LendingTree's survey finds 60% of buy now, pay later users say they've had multiple loans at once, sometimes 3 or more at the same time.
And so that's a situation where they will just deduct the payment right out of your bank account. Suddenly your checking account does not have that money in it and you're hit with an overdraft fee. Or maybe, if you really don't pay it, like they can send you to collections. I think also there's just like an invisibility problem here. Like most of buy now, pay later companies do not report to like the big credit bureaus that kind of give you like a credit score in the US. So like TransUnion, Equifax, they don't tell these credit bureaus like what people are doing. That's starting to change a little bit. Affirm is now sending data in, but the other ones really don't. And so what that means is like on a societal level, we could have a big problem and we don't know it right now. These companies will say, we don't want to share data with these credit bureaus who will then compete with us. Also, what they say is like, well, that way if you miss a payment, it doesn't hurt your credit. But it also doesn't build your credit. Like the way that you build credit is by getting reports sent in to these guys. So like if you kind of are in buy now, pay later land because you don't have a good credit score or you don't have a strong credit history, you kind of like get stuck there because that you're never like graduating into like potential credit card land if that's a place you'd like to be.
Emily, the internet is the place of all things, right? And so we have seen not only warnings from people on TikTok and other parts of social media.
If you need to pay in 4 easy payments, then you cannot afford that item, okay?
But aside from the warnings, we also see a lot of people on social media cracking jokes about this, thanking Klarna and Afterpay for the life that they have always dreamed of.
So when you buy a $100 pair of shoes and you only have to pay $25 that day, and then the pair of shoes show up at my apartment 3 days later, The shoes are $25.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it because I think we need to stop the hate and the stigma. I am a proud member of the Afterpay community.
The platforms themselves seem to be leaning into this cutesy, lighthearted marketing. We've seen some affiliate SponCon, some sponsored content on some places. But then there's the issue of regulation or lack thereof. Is there anything stopping these companies or keeping these companies in check when it comes to regulation?
That is a complicated one. So basically, in the United States, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is like the agency in charge of all things consumers under the previous presidential administration under Joe Biden, came out and said, basically, buy now, pay later companies, you guys have to follow the rules just like the credit card companies do, which would mean things like, truth in lending, saying like, here are the exact terms of your loan, like, here is the interest rate. Or things like, protecting you in a dispute. Like if there is some sort of fraud, like let's say you see something weird on your credit card bill, you can call up Visa, MasterCard, whoever, and say, hey, this looks weird. And they will like help you, like making sure that the buy now, pay later companies would have to do that. Of course, now Donald Trump is president and his CFPB is saying, actually, like, never mind that rule. Like, you guys don't have to do this. I mean, it's nice if you do, but like, no worries. I will say most of these companies say they do this stuff. The risk here is like, that's great, but like corporations don't have an awesome history of just being like nice and benevolent because they like felt like it. And we want regulators to like keep an eye on this. And I think this is an issue with a lot of financial tech, like products that they come out and they say, we're something new and different. So that's why we can't quite be regulated in this way. But like, oh, are you that new and different? Or did you just like put this same thing on a cell phone and now like we think it's fine? And so it is a bit of a gray area. It also depends on states, but the CFPB, at least right now in the US, is not looking at these guys.
Well, do you know generally how these companies are defending themselves against criticisms that this is leading to debt accumulation and encouraging overconsumption? And that they're giving out loans to people who may not be able to handle them and may not be able to pay them back? Do the companies say anything about that?
What they say is like, we are complying by the laws, even, we're doing our best work anyway. And they do kind of say, if you really do I paid it off in 4 payments, 0% interest, like you're not going to be drowning in debt. We know that credit card debt is at like near record highs in the United States right now. And with interest rates, or I think average interest rates right now are above like 20%. What they will say is like, we are an option for people who don't have a good enough credit score, don't have credit history, do not have a credit card. And like, I think this is true a lot of different payment systems or like debt systems, right? You think of like payday loans, which like we kind of identify as bad, right? Like you get a loan before you get paid and the interest rate is huge. Okay, like probably we don't want that. But at the same time, if it is like I get a payday loan or I cannot pay my rent, like that's where it always gets a little bit tricky with these kinds of products. These companies kind of say like, listen, we are an option for someone. And it's like not the worst thing in the world for them that like e-commerce platforms know that people buy more. Like that's great. And like, they don't say like too much about that because I see like the memes and like the videos that are like, thank you, Klarna, for financing my life. Like, I don't know. I have a friend who a few years ago, a friend of a friend had like flown out to a wedding and had done a buy now, pay later on his plane ticket and flew like business first class, which like he'd never do. And like, that's, I don't know, part of me is like awesome, but also like you really want to pay out that plane ticket for like a 4-hour plane ticket for 6 weeks. And like, you definitely would have flown coach otherwise.
Yeah.
That's kind of, a little bit of the tricky part.
Well, Emily, finally, you cover business of all sorts. You focus on consumerism, culture, and the economy, some of my favorite topics because they involve us all, right? So I want to ask you this question, keeping that in mind. I know there are a lot of people who are going to be listening and watching us who do use buy now, pay later, and they aren't going to stop tomorrow despite some of the risks that we brought up here today. So is there a responsible way to use these services? Are there rules or boundaries that might protect people from the kind of risks that we've been talking about?
I mean, I think the best advice is like, treat it like a credit card. Treat it like a real loan. Like this isn't magic money. It is a loan. Like if Would you put this $100 on your credit card? No, like maybe you shouldn't put it on this buy now, pay later thing either. It doesn't mean you should never use it, but like be thoughtful with it. I do think it's really, really important to like keep track of these things. And I don't know, whatever your system is, make a spreadsheet, use a sticky note. You really want to make sure that when the company withdraws money from your bank account, like, you know what's going in, you know what you're buying. Like, this is one where I can see it be really easy to just kind of have a bunch of little loans and not realize what you've done. Think about how you're using it and like take a beat. Like, you know, the burrito thing kind of became like a joke or a meme, but like nowadays, like a burrito and a drink from Chipotle or whatever could run you above $35. Right? Like you could, which is a whole different conversation.
I got a salad the other day. I will not name the company, and it definitely cost me $27.
Yeah, it's like, it's wild. And so like you could be, you know, presumably door dashing a lot to your house for something that's 30, 40, 50 bucks. And like, if it feels like a better idea because it's only $10 today, like you might just want to like go pick up the burrito. I just would be a little bit careful. And you know, if you do get into hot water, you can always call the company, say like, hey, this is going on. And I think one thing I've seen around too is refunds and returns can be a little bit tricky. So like you might just want to be prepared. But I just think kind of the big question is like, you know, do I need this? And if I do really want this thing or need whatever, you know, like it is an actual loan. This is a loan, like full stop. And I think that's important to remember.
Well, Emily, thank you for talking about the risks and maybe the rewards of this buy now, pay later system. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.